What up, y'all? I was taking a shower last night, and yesterday was February 12th, so it happened to be the full moon in Leo. And if y'all know anything about me, I'm a Taurus sun, Leo moon, Virgo rising. I'm having a bit of a rough time right now. But, anyways, I was in the shower last night, and I came to the conclusion that the moment I stopped calling myself an artist was the moment I gave up on myself. And that is a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack right there. Um, I think recently with me kind of sort of going viral on Instagram and TikTok, that side of social media with my neo-medievalism video and then me posting a video essay about it and then me also promising or declaring like, oh, I'm gonna make this my brand now, like I'm gonna make video essays now because I've just been kind of doing nothing but writing essays over the past year or so. And also my BFA thesis project, I wrote 4 essays for that, and I kind of branded myself as sort of like an all-knowing expert on pop culture, visual culture, and the way that it connects to our realities and the way that we exist in the institutions that we are a part of and the institutions that we serve, and just overall our like socio-political realities. And while a part of that does get to my core mission, I don't think that's something I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's the thing. I feel like over the past 4 years, more than 4 years at this point, I stopped calling myself an artist because I was trying to chase status in fields and in industries that I don't know if I genuinely wanted to be a part of. Like, even now, I don't know if I really want to be in film and TV, like as an actress. I don't really know if I want to be in academia as a researcher and as a writer. I don't know if I want to like make music and DJ and dance, even though I've had all these, you know, creative multi hyphenate, like side quest era, side things that I wanted to pursue and explore. And, I don't regret any of that at all. Like, I don't regret taking acting classes. I don't regret being an art history nerd and taking a bunch of art history electives during my degree. Even for my major, like digital design, I think once I graduated high school and I stopped calling myself an artist, I took on the handle of designer because that was what I thought I was going to be. And in a lot of ways I am, and I still am, and I do practice design in my creative work. But that's not all I want to be. Society tells you that once you're 18, you go to college, you pick a major, and you're expected to work within that field or work within that major for the rest of your life. In my case, I convinced myself that I was going to be a digital designer, graphic designer for the rest of my life. And through all these influences and all this external imagery, all this external validation, seeing other artists and designers who are in a more successful position than I am, it's like it makes you feel like crap, and you compare yourself to other people, and you end up in this sort of cycle where it's like, do you want to be something, or do you want to be something because of the status that it brings you? Because all my life I was told that if you are an artist, you're gonna starve. You're gonna starve to death. You're not gonna make any money. You're gonna be broke. You're gonna be poor. Whereas with graphic design, people were like, oh, you get to work for companies. Like, you get to work in tech. You get to have a 9 to 5, and it's like stable. You get to, it's seen as this more respectable, cool thing. And yet, the irony of it all is that graphic designers are extremely disrespected across all industries. The way graphic designers talk about themselves, like as a profession, as a career, it sounds very self-deprecating. And of course this doesn't apply to all graphic designers, but at least the ones who follow societal expectations and follow the path to corporate and working for companies and working for clients. There's this messaging that, you know, that graphic design is practical, that it's not art, that it's better because you're doing it for an audience and you're doing it for other people. Whereas if you're doing it for yourself, then it's like, it's selfish. And yet here graphic designers are getting laid off and being replaced by companies for AI. And I don't know if I want to be a part of this specific field anymore, like solely as a graphic designer. I've applied to well over 100 jobs like this past year, like as a designer, as a graphic designer, as a junior designer, and I got pretty much ghosted or rejected by all of them. I just did like I applied to a job like end of December last year, and I just received a rejection email yesterday. And then I got another repeat of that rejection email today because it was under like an automated system. So that says a lot about how abysmal the job market is and the reality that working a 9-to-5 job is not stable anymore. It really isn't stable anymore. So I'm sitting here in my room, in my childhood bedroom, in my mom's house, like where I'm still living, and I'm just sitting here like, why does this even matter anymore? Why am I trying to chase corporate status and positions, or even distract myself with side hustles and side hobbies and side gigs like acting and taking dance classes? There was one point where I was like a nail tech for a week because I was just so desperate for a job, and then I was asked to leave because of customer complaints, which that's a whole other story, not really related. Even being an academic to a fault, like writing, researching, doing all these essays, speaking on certain topics that I care about, and again, like even talking about like, you know, my personal interests, things like video games and beauty, which, you know, like I do enjoy them, don't get me wrong, but it's like I don't know if I want to document myself yapping about all these things that exist outside of me and ignore who I am as a person when you take away all those things. Like, looking back, if I had to do my degree all over again, I would probably be a studio art major with a minor in digital design and art history. I feel like that would have been the most ideal path for me, but at the same time, you know, you don't know what you don't know. I went to an imposter syndrome seminar workshop today over Zoom, and there's this phrase being repeated over and over, like, you don't know what you don't know. And that is exactly how I feel about this point in my education and in my career. Even though I've done all the things, you know, I went to high school, I hit the books, I studied, I got, you know, really high GPA. I was almost in the top 10. I hit the books. I got all good grades. I could have gone to an out-of-state college to pursue my art major, but then COVID happened, and I had to settle for CU Denver because that was just the most affordable, you know, closest option for me. And while I do appreciate the fact that I did go to CU Denver and I didn't have to spend a boatload of money for my degree, a lot of what the College of Arts and Media, at least the way, you know, in this, at least in some of the studio majors like digital design, or even illustration, like there is a lot of focus on, there's an emphasis on selling your skills and your craft as a service. I think going through college and just not really knowing much about how to make money from art, like I just assumed that you had to go viral on social media, and like take sponsorships to get any money, or that you had to sell your goods, on a website or online, or you go the corporate route and you work, as a contractor, as a freelancer, in-house, an agency or a firm, and like those were the only three options that I thought, were possible. And then I graduated, and I started looking into gallery work, and I started looking into studio-based work, the kinds of things that a lot of independent artists are making right now without being tied to an organization or a business, or any sort of like money making model that brings into question like what are your ethics about this. I think social media is great. It's the reason why I'm even deciding to post this on YouTube. But it's also exhausting as a space to live and to work in. Like, I love pop culture, I love watching video essays, I love engaging with the media that's around me and creating pieces of not necessarily art, but like that's the thing. I don't acknowledge what I make as art. I think because so much of what design is focused on bringing outside elements in, that it's hard to talk about design as art. And it's hard for people like me who have been indoctrinated into the design world to see myself as an artist and to acknowledge my works as art. A few days ago, this was when the neo-medieval video was still popping off in a lot of ways. One of my followers saw a story of mine, and it was me making a comment on OpenAI like striking a deal with Kakao Talk, or the cacao company from South Korea, and I made like a comment on that and how they were trying to compete against China's DeepSeek, and with the conversations around like the US-China like tensions and rivalry. I made a comment about that because that's just something that's been living in my mind rent free. And someone commented, someone DM'd me like, could you make a video explaining what you meant by that? And I was like, no, because that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. It's a part of me. I think a part of my work involves talking about pop culture and talking about public discourse on certain political topics, and the way that artists have gone about expressing themselves in a political way. In high school, like I loved civics, and like I was this close to being a poli-sci major. Like that's how much I enjoy and love discussing, these sorts of things in my day-to-day life, but also in my work. But also it's like, I don't think it's my job to explain every little thing that I say. With short-form content and short-form media, and these discussions being brought about in short-form formats, there's no time for nuance. There's no time to discuss like all the itty-bitty granular things and nuances and things that, could be forgotten about in the main conversation. And in a lot of ways that was what happened with the neo-medieval video. But also it's like, people are gonna forget about it. That's another thing with short form. It's there and then it's gone. It went viral and then it's, people aren't talking about it anymore. So why would I let that affect me? Why should I let that affect me? Because it's not gonna matter in a month from now when nobody's commenting on it. And yet in some ways it does matter to me, and I do care about how I'm viewed in society, and I care about what other people think of me, and I'm worried about like how, again, like I should brand myself. Like, am I an academic? Am I a designer? Am I an artist? Am I someone who does a bunch of different things at once and is like, a jack of all trades? I'm all of those things. I'm everything everywhere all at once, literally. But society doesn't like that, and people like to put labels and compartmentalize someone into something, an identity or a presence that's like palatable or digestible. I don't think that's even something that people do unconsciously. I think it's more so because of our social systems and how hyper capitalist, hyper consumerist our society has become, that we have gone all the way to commodifying not just things, but commodifying ourselves, commodifying other people. And it's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing to do to other people, but I think it's even more dangerous to do to yourself. And that's what I find myself doing. I don't want to commodify myself. I don't want to put myself in a box. I don't even want to put labels on myself. Even if there are like 100 million different labels to describe me, like I don't even want that. I just want to be an artist. That's the most simple way to put it. I just want to be an artist. I just want to make things. And for the past 4 or 5 years, like, I don't think I've done that. Because I stopped calling myself an artist. And by doing that, I abandoned my childhood self. I abandoned the teenager in me who was trying to seek help and seek resources and figure out how to take my art seriously in high school. And here I am just kind of like dodging everything around that. And I've come to the realization that I don't want that for myself anymore. I can't afford to let myself be distracted by all these things that I see and all these happenings around me, and me aspiring to be someone that I'm not. I feel like every single time I try something new that doesn't fall in line with what I want, I always go back to creating. I always go back to making like physical pieces of art. Just recently, back in November, I started this mixed media piece where I basically took my Hobonichi Techo, again from last year, that I didn't touch. I basically didn't touch it for most of the year. So what I ended up doing was I tore it all up and I pasted it onto the canvas board with Mod Podge, and I just kept layering and layering and layering all the different pieces of Tomoe river paper, because it's very thin. And what I would do is I would just, again, like, I start with gesso, put on a layer of Mod Podge, put on like layers of paper, Mod Podge paper, over and over and over again. And it did create a texture, but it wasn't enough for me, so I went out and got modeling paste and some palette knives to create that like wrinkled paper texture. And it's starting to come together, and it's looking like what I want it to look like, and now it's just adding the finishing details. And I started that piece when I was at my corporate job. I had a contract corporate job from September to December. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think I've ever been so burnt out in my entire life. That job sucked the life out of me. Like, all I could do was go to work, wake up at like 7 in the morning, eat breakfast, go to work, sit at my computer for 3 hours, eat lunch at my desk, because we couldn't really have lunch breaks, so everybody just ate at their desks, continue working until 3, 4, maybe 5, but I mostly left by like 4:30. I sit for like half an hour in traffic because it's rush hour. I come home, I'm so tired that I just go into the shower. I can't even work out or exercise like I usually do. I go in the shower, I eat dinner, doom scroll on my phone for the rest of the night, go to sleep, repeat. And that was what it was for every weekday until I finally was done with that contract. On the weekends, like, I couldn't really do anything but rest. And I think starting that mixed media piece was a form of rest. You know, like, yeah, I'm physically doing things, I'm physically making things, like, it is labor, but in a lot of ways it was restful for me because it was a way of me retreating back into my own bubble and just being with myself and not having to be influenced by anyone or anything else. You know, I didn't have to, like, look at a reference, I didn't have to, you know, look at articles or read articles or do research and make mood boards and things like that. Like, it's just purely creating out of instinct. And that is something that I want to do more of. I'm gonna be an artist again. I have to be an artist again. I'm not giving myself a choice in this matter. I am an artist again. Let's put it that way. I am an artist. It goes back full circle, baby. But yeah, this week has been really wild for me. I received an email this morning from somebody, and I learned in that email that a former college classmate of mine, referred me to a publication in California, and someone from the editorial staff reached out to me by email and said that they wanted to interview me. And I learned that my classmate recommended me as an inspiring creative, an inspiring artist, that she wanted to in a way see more of. So yeah, Mimi, if you're watching this, I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you. Oh, I'm getting emotional. I'm not crying, but like, that is the kind of recognition that I want. I don't care about social media. I don't care about views. That's ultimately the kind of recognition that I want. Shit, now I'm actually crying now. Oh my gosh. That's all I want at the end of the day, is to inspire people and have them see parts of themselves in me, and for me to share myself and share my heart to the world. I can share all the information and the knowledge and the know-how that I want, but if I don't get to share me, what's the point? I have to give my soul to it. I have to share me. I have to share who I am at the end of the day. And for the past 4 or so years, I just haven't been doing that. This is the first time that I've cried on camera while filming myself. It takes a lot for me to cry, and it takes a lot for me to be brought to tears in this way. But I'm so happy that I'm releasing it, and that I'm releasing it to the world, and that I'm sharing this moment with myself and with you, and to just with the universe in general. I'm just so relieved. I'm so relieved that I get to share all of this. I downplay myself a lot. I don't advocate for myself all the time. And I squeeze myself into a box thinking that that is what would make me digestible and palatable for the world. don't want to be fucking palatable. I want to give someone diarrhea. I want to give someone constipation. I want to be the shit that they can't shit out. That's what I want to be. That is who I want to be. I want to be the shit that you can't shit out. And it stays within you forever. That is who I want to be. That is who exactly I want to be. Okay, I need to like calm down and like wipe my tears away. Thank you for tuning in to this video. I think I'll just end it here. Yeah. I don't think I need to say anything. But I am an artist, and I'm going to be an artist. And I'm going to be everything that I want to be and everything that I can be. Not because someone is telling me that I should be it, but I'm telling myself I want to be it. This is the kind of energy I want to bring into the rest of my 20s and into the rest of my career, hopefully. Hopefully, it will. I will bring this into the rest of my career. But yeah, I don't know what the future is gonna look like on this channel specifically, but I hope that whoever's watching, I want you to accept me for all that I am and not just for what I can provide. I'm smart, I know I am, but I'm not here to give you everything. I'm creative, but I'm not here to draw for you. I'm doing all this shit for me. Okay, I'm gonna head out and eat some ice cream. I deserve it. I haven't had ice cream in a while. Oh my gosh. I'm not going out to get ice cream. I'm getting like the Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar that's in the fridge, and I haven't had that in a while. But yeah. Thank you for tuning in, and to future Kathy, I hope you get every single thing that you want and you deserve, because you worked your fucking ass off for it. I'm still working my ass off for the things that I want, but I know that future me, she will reap the benefits of my labor one day. But yeah. Bye.